Hello everyone, this is Lala and today I'm continuing my coverage of ranking BBCAN seasons by categories, and the category in discussion today is the drama, mainly the arguments and the fights. So pretty much I'm going to rank all the seasons that completed, so no BB8, that finished this season, and I'm going to rank them on last or from last to first based on how good I think the drama in that season is, in addition to how memorable and iconic it is. So that's kind of the conglomeration that I'm working with, if that all makes sense. You can click above to look at my prior coverage of BB if you're interested in seeing more videos that are like this that I've done in the past already. So the dead last spot at 10th goes to BB 3. I thought that one other season would potentially be last regarding the drama, but I forgot about this season. I ended up forgetting about this season regarding the drama because there really wasn't much of any drama outside of one or two notable moments, which caused the season I initially was going to put as last to be moved a spot or two above this. There's not much drama in BBCAN 3, and that's mainly due to the cast being predominantly super fans who know the formula too well and are more muted personalities in general. There was not much drama within the first 2 weeks outside of that cringe thing with Sydney and Godfrey, which was based off a prank production set up, and there wasn't much fallout over Kevin hearing the woman's conversation. The first real blow up was Johnny vs. Greg over the latter being backdoored, and the former winning the veto, but it was more cringe than anything. Even the fallout over Jordan's blindside was pretty boring, and not much came from it in a dramatic lens, since Zach and Sarah talked about it in a very calm and concise way. The only other notable drama that I remembered was when Bruno and Sarah had that huge argument during the triple, which was very good, but it was also very short. So you didn't see a whole lot of immediateness or payoff to it, though we saw a bit of passive aggression between him and Brittany and Sarah in the following week, which led to him being cooed out of the game. This cast in general just doesn't have much drama, especially compared to literally all the other seasons, so I have no choice but to put it as last. Though I think a part of the reason why there isn't as much drama in this season is due to the twists of the season being too much, causing them to be even more muted, where if the gameplay just kind of just played out more naturally without the twist, maybe we would have seen more drama from this cast. So at ninth is Big Brother Canada 7. I did consider ranking a few other seasons at this point, and I did consider putting the season at last, but I really just cannot put any other season below it at this point, outside of the one that I already ranked lower than it. There really was not much drama in the beginning of the season, but the one moment that I do remember in the beginning was Mackie cursing the house with a plague after he is blindsided, with Kira and Kaylin going at it in the aftermath, though it was still more tame in comparison to most of the drama in other seasons. A lot of the so-called drama in the beginning of the season involved Samantha and a lot of arguments involving herself and Adam, which is a precursor pertaining their eventual breakup in real life. And while a lot of the house guests did not like her, they never really stepped to her in any argument, which made it very boring. The jury portion of the season was mainly the pretty boys arguing with one another, and it was mainly Adam and Anthony going at one another, since they both had the most alpha personalities and had the most differing motivations compared to everyone else in the group. I do remember Adam and Mark going at it a few times during the season as well, but Mark was mainly just dismissed. The final five round was very dramatic, and we saw a lot of tension due to it, where it really is a good week, due to the pretty boys being forced to have to turn on one another, and it was the one week that actually had some sort of stakes in it. Kyra got into a few arguments, like the moment with Anthony later on in the season, where Anthony sitting down speaking to her because he knew he would come off as intimidating if he stood above her or sat above her. And their drama, meaning Kira's drama, with Chelsea was more cringeworthy. While there were some decent moments in the season drama-wise, none of it really had any sort of stakes, since the pretty boys were always going to stay loyal to one another no matter what, and none of it really mattered, especially with it being so set in stone. And when most of the cast are just complete deads who aren't contributing to anything, including the drama, it's no shock that the season is this low in this category. So the season that I'm placing at 8th, it might be a shocker, but it is BBCAN 2. I might, emphasis on might, move this up to 7th, but I had no choice but to put the season lower for a few reasons. One is that there really wasn't much drama as the season went on, and most of it was in the beginning of the season, where there really isn't much of anything at the end of the season. And one of the things I'm taking into consideration with this list is there being drama throughout the beginning, middle, and end of a season. So if there's a season that has most of its drama in only one section of the season, it's probably going to be lower. The other main reason why I put this season low in the drama arena is because a lot of the drama was edited out of the episodes. Like, we did see Paul call Andrew a racist and the blow up that happened, but they didn't show the entire house getting into Adele and Cal's asses as well, which explains why the three of them were so on the outs. Ika did blow up her own alliance by causing random fights with them throughout the season, mainly throughout the week of her HOH, but they don't show any of it on the episodes. And then we have her infamous blow up due to Litigate, which was really great. They also did not show her and Sabrina's argument that happened during that week, where Sabrina lied and said Ika tried to threaten her physically. Andrew and Kenny had their few fights with people during the season, and then things slowed down during the jury portion of the season, despite all of Adele and Sabrina's fights later on in the season. It seemed like the producers wanted to push the Canada-friendly image this season, hence editing out a lot of the drama compared to BBCAN 1. But what we got from the episodes and the feats were decent enough. In general, I don't think it compares to a lot of the drama that happened in the seasons after this. So, here it is in this ranking. And you would expect for a cast that showed to be more explosive and had a lot of personality to have more drama. But I think that the artificial twist that happened in the middle of the season, causing or incentivizing the more likable quote-unquote people to stay in the house, caused there to be less drama than there probably would have been had Canada's HOH not happened. So at 7th, I have Big Brother Canada 1 pertaining to drama element. And I feel like people forget a lot about the season in general, though I don't think many people thought it was forgettable earlier on in this country's show's history. Due to this, I do think people forget a lot about the drama that did happen in the season. Strategically, there wasn't a whole lot of drama in the beginning of the season, and the bit that we did get had nothing to do with strategy. I remember Jillian and Danielle just talked about one another, but it didn't actually lead to anything. Tom got into his fair share of drama during the short time that he was in the house, as he argued with Tala over alcohol, which was just so stupid. His petty feud with Suzette during the third week, where he gave her an awful nomination speech and she calls him a redneck during the veto competition. And Des Topaz ended up ripping him apart because he opened the shower door when Alec was in it, and obviously there are live feeders in the cameras that are still in the washroom. And apparently they edited some of that out as well, with Topaz going in on Liza. Suzette had her huge freakout on Anil during the third week, and managed to even argue with Emmett on her way out of the season, as he gave her a pretty harsh veto speech, and she did not handle it well at all. Tala caused a lot of drama during the second half of the season, and I remember Gary and Topaz ripping into one another. Actually, no. I remember Gary and Topaz ripping into Tala within the time span of like a day or two, as Gary got in her face over some Heflot drama, and Topaz thought that Tala was hooking up with Alec, though she did defend herself well during those arguments. I think the most gameplay-oriented fights throughout the season happened closer to the end with Tala and Andrew, where he felt like she should be nominated because she did nothing in the game and she's sick of his entitled quote-unquote deserves it attitude, where they argued so much during the latter weeks, adding a little excitement to the endgame, which was pretty boring and set in place. I also remember Emmett pissing off Andrew because his ass got caught cheating in the veto competition. In general, there are a decent amount of fights in the season, but they are not the most notable and didn't amount to a whole lot in the season in general, especially compared to the other seasons. So at 6, I have Big Brother Canada 10. At this point, it's pretty hard to rank the drama in all 6 of these seasons, since I think the remaining 6 all have their good amount, so it's kind of splitting hairs at this point, in my opinion at least. I remember that they edited out the drama with Jay and Cal in the second week due to it involving race, and it was apparently a false claim, which is ironic due to the events of the following week. Cal did blow up his game due to race reasons, but I shockingly don't recall there being much drama regarding arguments about it, which was interesting and ironic, I guess. Jess got into a few arguments throughout the season, mainly with Moose and Herman during the short time that they, referring to Jess, was there, and I remember Betty arguing with Kevin, mainly with it being the both of them exchanging with one another. Oh, I also forgot that Betty argued with Moose as well earlier on in the season, and Moose kind of just had this weird reaction where he's always getting yelled at and he doesn't really handle it the best, but he never really yells back, but he still finds a way to defend himself, if that makes sense. Marty caused a lot of drama and fighting with several people throughout the season, and it always kind of bothered me since he was so much older than everyone else, and it came off as more scary than anything else, since he came off as so aggressive, and the edits covering for him did not help his case either. The biggest example of this is his argument with Summer, where she really did nothing, but he was slamming things, yelling at the top of his lungs at her, and it just really made me uncomfortable, but he didn't have the energy for the people who actually did something to him. Things started getting more tame and boring when it came to the drama in the second half of the season, until the triple eviction, where Summer lays into Josh's ass for him supposedly turning on her, as she thought they had a closer relationship than he thought of her. And we have a great exchange between JC Lynn and Helena, as I think the former was still reeling over Gino's blindside and eviction. Things died down once again, but there were a lot of great moments of drama in the season. I just think the other 5 are more consistent in this regard, since there are several weeks throughout the latter portion of the season where there's literally no drama at all. So we made it past the halfway point, and the season that I have at 5th is BBCAN 9. I am definitely more confused about the position of this season in the drama department, since I could move it up a spot or 2 maybe, but I feel like here is a good spot for it. We had this weird exchange with Latoya and Julie in the first week, where she refuses to engage with Julie's foolishness. Josh did get into a lot of drama during the 2 weeks that he was in the house, and I like the way he handled himself in these arguments, like the house meeting that happened in his final week. Rohan and Cal trying to intimidate Kiefer, only for Latoya to interrupt and hand their asses on their butts and on the floor and hand them their reading rights, was just so hilarious to watch. Latoya, Jetson, and Tishan were just very savage during the entire week, and Victoria trying to deflect all week was pretty fun as well. I don't remember a whole lot of the drama for the next 2 weeks of the season, though the invisible HOH did not help in this department, but that was not the case for BBCAN 11 2 years later. Victoria and Tara had one of the best arguments ever during the latter's final week, and it was all about the game and nothing personal, which is very fun. We saw a lot of arguing with the trio, especially the showment of Beth and Jetson during the next few weeks, since they were so indecisive and scatterbrained, and even Kiefer got into some arguments with them as well, especially after they tried to backdoor him and then changed their mind. Of course, there was the final 6 round, which was just very dramatic in so many ways, and everyone was getting a piece of the drama pie. Tishan and Beth argued a lot during our last week in the house, which was pretty fun, though it was awful jury management on his part, and then things started slowing down after that. There was a lot of drama in the season, though there were peaks and valleys, and I think the other 4 have some more memorable drama, and I think it's also more consistent where there wasn't several weeks in the season where there wasn't any drama compared to this season, which is why I have it as 5th. So at 4th in this department, I have Big Brother Canada 11. With this being a season that is commonly low rated, I was not expecting this season to rank this high in the drama department. We really see Ty and Zach cause havoc with their reign and overconfidence, which started pissing people off. Vanessa ended up arguing with the both of them during her shirt period in the house, the drama of the boys' alliance going downhill was pretty funny, especially with how overdramatic Jonathan was. And then we, of course, have the third week where Ty and Zach tried to get Hope expelled, since Hope used the veto on himself, causing Zach to go up. And the three of them went at it, and led to a bunch of house guests just yelling at the two men, and them yelling back at others, though we mainly have Kuzi and even Anika getting into it with the two of them. Damn near everyone in the house ended up yelling at Santina the next week, since she poorly hid the fact that she was the invisible HOH, and we shockingly heard from the mute Dan, which was interesting, to say the least. And I also remember it was around this time where Santina and Anika were also arguing about poorly made waffles, which is such a what the fuck thing to do. But it's memorable. Seeing how the house treated Shania just because she used the veto to save Renee, I believe it was Renee, and Jonathan going up was so fucking ridiculous, and there was some drama with that as well. Oh, I also forgot that the girly pops were locked out of the secret room during the twist. What was the twist? It was, I guess it was pretty much the chain twist. That twist, so that was pretty interesting as well. In general, Ty was just a walking drama queen with how he spoke to everyone throughout the entire season, and created fights everywhere he went, even if he was extremely unlikable. We had the destruction of the Crown Alliance, and we saw Kuzi losing her position with Daniel and Anika, where she argued with them a lot during her last 2 weeks in the house, even getting into it with Daniel right before her eviction started. It's really a shame that defeats were not a thing this season, since I'm sure there was a lot more drama that we missed, but this cast did deliver in this component. I don't know how memorable these fights will be in the future, which is why it's only at 4th. So in the drama department, I have Big Brother Canada 4 as 3rd. For some reason, I think people forget a lot about the drama that happened in the season, though it has some of the best that BBCAN has to offer. We see the aftermath of the Page blindside, where Shari and Levita handle Kelsey horribly after failing to boot her, and then we see Levita and Cassandra arguing the entirety of the next week, as the former tries to get the latter out over a misunderstanding, and she fails at it. Apparently, there was a lot of drama during that baseball have-not competition that was edited out in the 4th week, and there were a lot more arguments with people like the brothers, Dallas, and some of the others on the feed at the time, which weren't included on the final edit. We did have a lot of the hatred between the two main sides of the house, and of course we have Jared and Levita getting into a screaming match, all because Kelsey was getting the boot, and he was blaming Levita for it somehow, and Levita getting into it with Maddie before the latter stupidly decided to evict her. Dallas really spat in Tim's face, metaphorically, I mean, in his final week due to the nomination system that Tim was trying to work off of, and he of course gets into it with Maddie due to her dumb HOH, which led them in a poor position. What they didn't show is the huge drama that happened with Tim, Cassandra, and Nikki as the back and forth with the house over the Dallas versus Maddie vote was taking place. Of course, Mitch aired out Raul, Jared, and Kelsey several times during his final week in the house, and even the trio got into it with one another a lot during the week as they snapped at Raul for talking too much. Maddie and Kelsey finally verbalized their hatred towards one another the next week instead of just shit-talking one another behind their backs all season. Jared and Cassandra had a huge blow-up since she ended up sending him home because he didn't play hard enough in the Vita competition to keep the nominations the same, and he is taking it very poorly since they know one another outside of the house, and of course the brothers and Kelsey are pissed off at her too. We also have the huge blow-up that took place in the final 5 with everyone but Joe, which kinda got uncomfortable at times with how aggressive the brothers got, and endgames are usually not that tense in drama. The cast being unlikable in general is definitely something that gave them a boost here in this regard, but while there is a lot of drama, I don't think it is as iconic as some of the fights and drama in the other 2 seasons above it. So the silver prize of this ranking, which is second, goes to BBCAN 6. This choice was pretty close to whether it would be, or it should be, number 1 or number 2, but I had to put it as second, since I think the drama in this season is a little less iconic than the drama in the season that I have at number 1. I do remember the feeds turning on immediately to see Andrew and Erica going at it for several rounds, which did make it up to the episode, and I thought the entire exchange was so ridiculous, but so funny at the same time. and we move on to the next week, where we see Hamza and Jesse taking shots at one another throughout the week, though it was passive aggressive at the start, and then it just got worse and worse. We also have Veronica, which I actually forgot about, throwing a few house meetings that never ended well, and were very cringy to watch throughout the 3 weeks she was in the house, and she did it in two, or at least more than one of the weeks that she was there. If I do remember correctly, the Marin Boots week was pretty boring, but we did have that random argument between Alejandra and Ryan, where we still don't know whether she said what he was alleging, but the way that she got so angry was just so hilarious to me. The next week was a build-up of a lot of tension within that Red Room quote-unquote alliance, as it culminated in Kayla being forced to name a nominee, causing Erica to go home, and telling the showmates to fuck off, essentially. This leads to Johnny and Kayla having a great face-off right after Erica left, and this led to the showmates trying and failing to send Johnny home, only for Johnny to try and fail to send the showmates home the following week, where they all went at it due to the anticipated Alejandra versus Kayla vote, which led to everyone trading words for like 12 to 18 hours. It was great to watch on the feed and on the episodes, and it ends up with Alejandra telling the house off, especially the trio, after she was evicted. I do remember the many arguments that the trio of Maddie, Paris, and Will got into during the season, but it became more heightened when one of them was going home in the final five, and seeing them gaslight Maddie was very uncomfortable. I will say that the season kept up the drama and antics from the beginning to the end, which is not the case for many seasons, and it is why it is number 2. But it's just missing something that put it at number 1 in this regard. So the golden prize of number 1 on this list goes to Big Brother Canada 5. It was clear that there was a chance that the season would be the highest in this department, even before I really created it. But there was a lot more competition for this slot than I thought, which threatened this season's spot in the drama area. We start off the season with Dimitri being coached into getting into an argument with Dylan, which did start a feud between them that lasted for a majority of the season, and then we had the house fallout, which happened during the Mark versus Dimitri vote. This caused a permanent divide with the veterans, and we do see Dallas going after Dylan a few times, thinking that it would cause him to stay, though it did the exact opposite. Aika's flakiness really started showing, which caused herself and Netta to start going at it, though this wouldn't peak until a few weeks later. The Gary Boots week was definitely odd due to the twist that was put into place during the week, though we did see years of tension between him and Netta peak here as they took some shots at one another. Of course, the next week we really have the majority alliance falling apart, where Netta and Aika have several arguments throughout the season, which led up to the huge blow-up in the double, which is arguably the series' most notable moment. Yes, I said series, not season. I do think things slowed down for a bit during the next week, but we do see Bruno and Kevin arguing with Jackie. Honestly, I completely forgot to mention all the arguments Jackie got into throughout the season, though hers with Aika definitely got very uncomfortable at times. And the feud that Karen had with Kevin picks up more around this point in the season. I think the next week is very dramatic, with Dre finally turning on the showmans, and then getting called out by Dylan and Karen of all people, and we have the ass that twerks moment. The showmans decided to be really petty with Kevin during the final 5 week, and while it did make things a bit more entertaining, the thing with this season is that the drama carried on from the very beginning of the season to essentially the very end of the season, with many of the drama in the season being talked about and referenced in other seasons after this, and it's still very remembered in the fanbase, which is why I feel like it deserves the number 1 spot. Alrighty, so that concludes my ranking of the drama in Big Brother Canada seasons, and it was definitely an interesting and a cute list. The next video I'm going to work around pertaining this journey is the twists in Big Brother Canada, and that will be interesting because the country is infamous for its twists, even compared to the American version, and most of them aren't really great. I also have some good news, as I finally got the first season of the reboot to Total Drama, and I'm watching it now, so I'm working on that, and a review of the first season should be out. I've been having so much trouble watching it since I watched it for the first time last year when it leaked, since most of the versions kept on getting deleted, but I was able to find a version now, and I'm working on a review, so the TDI Reboot 2023 will be out soon, and then I'll do the Game Player tier rankings, and it'll lead to a start of a bunch of other Total Drama videos. I'm continuing with my Big Brother Canada coverage, the BB20 compilation videos, which will lead to other BBUS compilation videos, and I have a few other things in the works. Thank you all for supporting. You can like, subscribe, do all that jazz, and I'll be back soon. Bye!